We will do all kinds of momentous and happy things today. We will give 2 scholarship awards. We will thank our beloved proctors and our student council representatives from this year. We will say goodbye and thanks to our departing teachers. The seniors will present their class gift. We will introduce next year's head proctors and student council representatives. We will enjoy another of Mrs. Nelson's famous slideshows, and I will close with a few remarks. Before we begin, one quick announcement. There are 16 seniors who have an examination immediately following the assembly. To those seniors, you know who you are. Please pick up your yearbooks immediately after the assembly and proceed to Monticello 11. We want to start the exam in time for you to finish so that you can catch the boat for the alumni induction event happening this evening. It is now my pleasure to introduce Yvonne Protzig, our Director of Alumni Relations. Yvonne will present 2 scholarship awards that were created and funded by TASIS alumni. Students just like you, who sat in assemblies just like this, and then, after leaving TASIS, wanted to give back to their school. Please welcome Yvonne Protzig.
John Pritzlaff created the Pritzlaff Leadership Award, and the parents of Kathy Clark created the Kathy Clark Memorial Scholarship. Voted on by the entire upper school faculty, each of these awards recognizes a junior for exemplary dedication and involvement in community service, which has always been an important part of the TASIS education. Last year's recipients have lived up to every expectation and pushed the already high standard even further. Kate Robinson and Leah Lee, if you're here, please stand and take a round of applause. The Pritzlaff Leadership Award was established in 2001 by alumnus John Pritzlaff, 72, who had been a loyal friend and donor to the school, as well as serving on board of directors. The award recognises a junior who takes a leading role in community service outside the school, encouraging the involvement of other TASIS students in public service ideal. The $500 award may be used for educational expenses or donated to a non-profit organisation of the recipient's choice. Past recipients of the Pritzlaff Leadership Award are listed on the plaque in the Ginobili dining room. This year's recipient was new to TASIS this year and quickly immersed herself in the life of the school. Despite her quiet demeanour, this young lady is unafraid to speak her mind and often speaks for others who are unable or unwilling to do so. She quickly assumed a leading role in WISER and Caring for Cambodia, advocating for those groups wherever possible, raising funds and making videos to raise awareness throughout the school. Beyond this, she has helped organize a fundraising campaign to build schools in the Philippines after multiple towns were destroyed by a typhoon, and has also started her own website to help bring clean drinking water to impoverished communities throughout the globe. We can only wonder what she will tackle next. It is with great pleasure that I present the 2012 Pritzlaff Leadership Award to Sarah Lina Liga. Kathy Clark Memorial Scholarship recognizes and rewards a student who, in the judgment of the TASIS community, demonstrates exceptional dedication to community service. The award comes in the form of scholarship aid to assist in covering tuition expenses or educational travel. The award was established by alumni parents, Lieutenant Colonel Robert and Mrs. Anne Clark, to honour the memory of their daughter, Catherine, who attended TASIS for 6 years, graduating in 1987. After attending George Mason University, she served in the headquarters of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms in Washington, D.C. Known for her unfailing cheerfulness and compassion, Kathy was also cited for her distinguished service and for developing an outstanding AIDS awareness program. She died in a tragic automobile accident at the age of 26 while driving across the country from Virginia to her new duty station in California. Kathy believed that TASIS had provided her with some important life lessons, and her parents established this $3,600 scholarship award in her memory to reward and inspire other TASIS students to follow her commitment to public service. This year's recipient is known all around this campus for her generosity and commitment. Because of her competence in a multitude of areas, from the soccer field to yearbook to her role as a proctor, she is in great demand. You might think she is spread too thinly, but it's hard to find anyone who doesn't believe that this young lady gives everything she has to all of us sports and musicians. She combines thoughtfulness and honesty with warmth, spontaneity and availability, finding time every night to chat with each of the girls in the dormitory, despite her busy schedule. A shining beacon in the TASIS community, which she contributes to daily, she fully deserves this award. It is a privilege to present the 2012 Kathy Clark Memorial Scholarship to Savannah Rinaldi.
Will this year's proctors please stand where you are? Stand up. This year's proctors. I want to take a moment to thank you guys for all of the hard work and dedication that you've given our community for the last year, some of you 2 years. It has been a pleasure for me to get to work with you guys, and if everyone would join me in recognizing them with a round of applause. And now I would like to turn the program over to Martha and Blair, who will come up to do to recognize the party crowd. Thank you.
We students may not say this often enough or loudly enough, but we want to say a big thank you to all of our teachers. It's you that make our experience here what it is. At this time, we'd like to especially thank those teachers that are leaving TASIS at the end of the school year. As I call your name, please come down to be recognized and remain standing until all teachers have been called.
So, leaving after 2 years, we start with the teaching couple. He's a teacher of middle school math and science at the Nobili and Hetzel Perry, and will be returning to Colorado to pursue his engineering career in the medical device industry. She is actually leaving after 3 years and was a 6th grade teacher at TASIS from 2009 to 2012, first in the elementary school and then in the middle school. We will especially remember her for the work connecting the entire campus with the old school parade of flags and the torch award. She will be teaching 5th graders in Denver, Colorado next year. Mr. Andy Abel and Mrs. Emily.
She's a 6th grade teacher, last year in the elementary school and this year as part of the middle school. Next year, she will be teaching 4th grade at Spring Hill Elementary School in her hometown of Fairfax, Virginia. Miss Christine Fowler.
Next, the Director of Learning Support, focusing her work at TASES on establishing the procedures and protocols needed to provide support for students with learning differences. She also served as a middle school dorm parent, student advisor, leader of the Reading Baptist Service Learning Group, and tutoring coordinator. Immediately after leaving TASES, she plans to spend time with her family in Dubai, California, Washington, D.C. and Arizona. Miss Beverly Campbell.
Next, we have another teaching couple. He is a TASES graduate who returned to the school to give back to his work in the theater and with the Denobly dorm. He will be returning to the U.S. with his family to serve as the director of theater at the Brooks School in North Andover, Massachusetts. She is a wife, mom, dog lover, and theater assistant, and has worked behind the scenes to set up viable technical spaces in the Palmer Center, worked with the high school, middle school, and elementary school programs, and made at least 805 trips up and down the hill from Montevideo to Ventolino, mostly in heels. She will be leaving to curate the Limon Arts Gallery and do freelance design work in the greater Boston area. Mr. Robert Lazaire and Mrs. Heather Lazaire.
Next, leaving us after 3 years, she is a biology teacher, volleyball coach, and dorm head in Denobly. Next year, she's moving back to the States to work at the Lawrenceville School. Miss Ilana Sachs.
Now we have teachers leaving us after 5 years. She served as the athletic director, 10th grade leadership class teacher, dorm parent, and dormitory head, and is moving back to the USA for graduate school. Miss Betta Hansen.
This teacher returned to classes after a 10-year absence to serve as the 12 and PG grade dean, chair the Senior Humanities program, and teach EAL. Next year, she's staying in Lugano and working full-time on the completion of her PhD. Miss Kelly Merritt.
And finally, after 32 years, we are saying goodbye to a woman who will forever be part of the fabric of TASES. She will be returning permanently to the United States, but will never be gone from here. She has touched many and will be missed by all. Miss Cynthia Wisnick.
Thank you again to all of our departing teachers.
Now, Pia Weiser will present the senior gifts.
Each year, the senior class gets a chance to give something back and say thank you to the school for the wonderful time we spent here. Now that we have only 3 days left, it is our turn. So, on behalf of the senior class of 2012, we would like to present this table to Mr. Upensteiner and Tassis. Please welcome Mr. McKee, Mr. Schiff, and Ms. Putnam.
Will this year's Tassis Student Council please stand up? The Tassis Student Council has given entirely of themselves to represent the entire student body to the administration and board of directors. If we could please give them a round of applause for their service to the community.
Find me to introduce student council members. Please rise and be acknowledged as well. Mr. Schiffman is working with you, and excited to see what kind of new ideas you bring. Thanks.
I consider myself very fortunate to be able to say that I will be working with the proctors next year alongside Ms. Lund. I'd like to ask the newly selected proctors to please stand and identify yourselves. We very much look forward to working with this strong group, and I'd like to add that this group will be ably led by our 2 head proctors, Julie Rodrigo Castillo and Savannah Rinaldi. And we'd like to present the end of this year slideshow, which has been created by a woman I call Superwoman. You might know her as Mrs. Nelson. Thank you, Mrs. Nelson.
And if you see my reflection in snow-covered hills, where the landslide are bringing down.
Thanks once again to Mrs. Nelson for another moving slideshow. I will not embarrass our school photographer by making her come out and take another round of applause, but Mrs. Nelson much prefers to be behind the camera and out in the spotlight. As you see there, and as you see in the website, Mrs. Nelson has a peculiar capacity to capture not just the faces and the buildings of this place, but the heart of the Tassus community. Well, what is that heart of Tassus? Mrs. Fleming, our founder, pointed to the heart of Tassus as one of the most outstanding strengths of the school. Look at what she wrote to students in her 1976 yearbook message. Tassus has many strengths, but its deepest, most dividing strength is something hard to see at first. It eludes any label, any name, but I should like to call it a strength of heart. For certainly, the Tassus dream would not have its counterpart in reality without the emotional attachment which so many teachers and students have formed in one way or another for this school. Some of those who have been the most critical of Tassus while here, and Tassus needs its critics, have missed Tassus the most after they have departed. Today we said goodbye to departers young and old, whether teachers, student leaders, or the entire senior class. Departing from Tassus can be emotional. It can also be temporary, in that some departers actually end up returning. My wife and I, for example, are some of the many people who left Tassus and returned years later. Same is true for Mr. Shields, Mr. Dukes, Miss Guarnieri Rosso, Madame Casbon, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson, Mr. and Mrs. Merritt. And then, of course, you have the people who departed as students and returned as faculty members, like Mr. Yo and Mr. Sforza. There is one community member departing now who will probably not come back to work at Tassus, for he, like Mrs. Wisnant, is retiring from his main career and heading off to new adventures. Though he has helped every one of us grow stronger, Elia Rosati may not be a familiar name to you, but the products of his work are near and dear to your hearts. In fact, they're very dear to your hearts. They're right here in the stomach area. Because Elia Rosati is better known as the Tassus Chef, a title he held for most of the history of this school. Chef Elia began working for Mrs. Fleming in 1982. He helped create many of your Tassus memories. It was he who prepared your opening day buffet, your advisory dinners, your dorm snacks, your bag lunches, your ice cream parties, and of course, occasionally, pasta, chicken, and Chef Elia gave his heart and his professional career to this institution. Please now give him your thanks for helping feed Tassus. Chef Elia looks about 40 years old, first of all, so something he's done here has kept him young. In his shy smile, You can see the heart and soul that he has invested in this school. Now look to your left and to your right. Look at the eyes of your friends and teachers. Really, do it now. Look into the eyes of your TASIS companions and just try not to smile. Impossible. Here again, the erupting laughter. You can see the heart of TASIS. We feel it beating most strongly every May as we move through these ceremonies at the end of the month. The many goodbyes, the many looks over our shoulders at the experiences and the relationships of the past year. The many moments that helped make you who you are this afternoon. Now look back 391,320 minutes ago. Friday, September 2nd, 2011, about 7:10 p.m. It was our opening assembly. I was standing right here, welcoming you to TASIS. We were all nervous and excited. You were more tan than you are now. Mr. Fredrickson's hair was significantly shorter. At that assembly, I challenged you to make the most of the 391,320 minutes that remained until the end of the year. I challenged you to learn something new, to move from your current self to your better self, and to transform this dizzyingly big, wide world into your own small world of friends in which you are compassionate, courageous, and capable enough to make a difference in the world. I also showed you a video, the speed of which nicely parallels the action, learning, and movement that you have packed into your minutes this year. Please enjoy it once again. As you might remember, that video was made by an Australian named Rick Morecki, documenting a 44-day trip through 11 countries. Like the man in the video, you may have felt this year as if you were moving at high speed through the many cultures of our planet. You arrived from Spain, Russia, Brazil, the United States, or further. You tasted life in Switzerland, which, it turns out, tastes a lot like Italy. Your roommate was from Kazakhstan. Your friends are Bulgarian, Mexican, Ukrainian, and Japanese. You have partied with Germans, studied with Serbians, traveled with Turks, and skied with the Swiss. Amidst all this movement, we hope that you also have moved. We hope that you have moved from childhood toward adulthood, that you have moved in the directions of the Magnificent Seven, that you have moved from a focus on yourself to the sometimes surprising realization that the overwhelming majority of the universe is not you. We hope that you also have been moved, moved by beauty, moved by truth, and moved by the everyday goodness of the people around you. And we hope that you will keep moving, forward, outward, upward, for your entire life, always with the touchstone of Tassus in your heart. And as you leave this campus and walk out into the bigger, wider world, we teachers hope sincerely that you will always have that heartbeat of Tassus with you. The world will throw some complicated rhythms at you in your life, but you will always have the international rhythms of Tassus, and we hope you'll carry them with you wherever you go, wherever you move. Can you hear the heartbeat of Tassus? It might sound something like this. Or if you were going to dance, it would sound like this.